Assalamu alaikum wa marhaban bikum. In this lesson, we shall be learning al-istithna. What is al-istithna? It simply means exceptions in the Arabic language. Now, let's consider this sentence so that from there we can continue and explain this in details. Consider the sentence, Ja'at tullabu illa hamidan. This translates to, the students came except Hamid. Here I've made an exception. What is that? That all of the students came. The only student who was absent is Hamid. So Hamid is the accepted student from the generality of the students. All of the students are here, so Hamid has been accepted. Quickly, let's look at each of the parts of this sentence. First, in al-istithna, this topic, we have al-mustathna. Al-mustathna simply means the accepted, and the al-mustathna here is Hamidan, which is accepted. Hamid is the accepted one from the general category. So the category of students is the general category, but Hamid has been removed from this general category. Therefore, we call him al-mustathna, which is the accepted. Secondly, we also have al-mustathna minhu, which is the general word from which Hamid has been accepted. This one we call it al-mustathna minhu, which means from which the exception has been made. It is the general term from which the exception has been made. Then we also have adatul istisna, which is the tool used for the exception. Now there are three things. The first one is al-mustathna, which is the category or the individual which has been accepted from the general group. Then we have al-mustathna minhu, which is the general group from which the individual has been accepted. Then we have the adatul istithna, the tool for exception. So the topic is al-istithna, which is exception. So this comes with a lot of rules. Now we say the tool for accepting is, here we have the word illa, which is the tool used in accepting. Because when we said ja'at tullabu, all of the students came. The students came. Illa. So the word illa is the tool, the word, the particle which we have used to accept the individual Hamid. And when illa is used in the following sentence, you can see Hamid is ending with fatha. Ja'at tullabu illa hamidan. Of course, there must be a reason why hamidan is in the mansub case, in the accusative case carrying fatha. Among the other tools of exception, the word illa here is a harf, which means a particle. We also have other tools which are used in this exception rule. One of these is the word siwa and the word goiru. Siwa and goiru. These ones are what? Nouns. They are asma, they are nouns. And they are also used the way illa is used. Only that their rules may be slightly different from that of illa. Then we also have the word ma'ada and ma'khala. These ones are also tools used for exception. I don't want us to stay off too long from the book, so let's quickly dive into the book Ad-Durus al-Lughat al-Arabiyya Ligoin Atakina Biha and see this topic in full details, beginning with the conversation between the teacher and the students. Afterwards, we move ahead to explaining this topic in details. Let's dive in. Here we have Ad-Darus al-Thani wa Thalathun, lesson 32. Ali says, Ma natijatul ikhtibari shahriyi ya ustaz. What is the result of the monthly test, O teacher? Al-Mudarris says, listen very well. Najahat tullabu kulluhum. All of the students passed. Illa wahidan minhum. Except one of them. Can you see? Najahat tullabu kulluhum. All of the students passed the examination. Illa, except. Can you see? So here, at-tullabu here is the al-mustathna minhu, the general group from which an exception will be made. Then the word illa is the adatul istisna. This is the tool which is being used. We could have decided to use goiru or siwa or ma'ada or ma'khala, but here illa is being used, except. Wahidan is the al-mustathna, the accepted individual. Ibrahim says, Aksha an akuna iyah. I fear that I may be the one who failed the examination, the test. Al-Mudarris says, Na'am, anta that. Yes, you are the one who failed. Ibrahim says, Kayfa rasabtu. How did I fail? وَقَدْ أَجَبْتُ عَنِ الْأَسْئِلَةِ كُلِّهَا. And I have answered all of the questions illa al-awwala, except for the first question. Can you see? Here he's also making an exception. He answered the whole of the questions except illa al-awwala, except the first one. Al-Mudarris says al-awwalu huwa al-muhimmu. The first one is the most important. وَلَهُ ثَلَاثُونَ دَرَجَةً, and it has 30 marks. Ya ikhwanu, oh brothers, ijtahidu ijtihadan, strive very well. Faqad qataraba al-imtihan, examination has become closed, and the final examination is closed. Walam yabqa illa shahrun wahidun aw aqallu. Can you see? Walam yabqa, and there is nothing remaining except 1 month aw aqallu. Now you are seeing here walam yabqa, and the word walam yabqa, nothing remains. Nothing, generally, nothing. This is the general rule. Nothing remains. Illa, except shahrun wahidun, a single month. Why is the word shahrun here carry in dhamma? When we saw that najahat tullabu kulluhum illa wahidan. Why is shahrun carry in dhamma when wahidan? This is because this sentence is a negative statement. This we shall learn. Let's move on. Zuhair says, Kam darasna nadrisul imtihan. Kam darasna nadrisul imtihan. How many lessons are we learning for the examination? The teacher said, Nadrisul kitaba kullahu insha'Allah. We will study the whole of the book, insha'Allah. Ahmad says, Illa darsain al-akhirain. Except, you can see, Ahmad is making an exception to the general statement uttered by the teacher. So he's saying, except for 2 lessons. Al-Mudarris says, La bal nadrusul kitaba kullah. No, but we are going to be learning all of the books. All of the book. Yusajjilul ghiyab. At this point, the teacher is marking the attendance. Man ghaibul yawm. Who is absent today? Ali says, Ma ghabal yawma illa Hamidun. No one is absent today except Hamid. This is also a negative statement. No one is absent. A negative statement. Therefore, the accepted will be what? Hamidun with Dhamma. We are going to learn. Let's move on. Zuhairun says, Aina daftari ya ustaz. Where is my notebook, O teacher? Al-Mudarris says, Huwa ma'i. It is with me. Sa'utikahu gadan insha'Allah. I will give it to you tomorrow, Allah's willing. Laqad sahahtu dafatira. I have marked the notebooks. Kullaha, all of it, illa iyahu, except for that, meaning except for your own. Fil hissati sabiqati, in the previous period, sharahtu lakum ad-darsa, I explained the lesson to you, illa jumalan minhu, except for sentences from it. So you can see illa jumalan, except jumalan. This is a positive sentence, that is why jumalan, not jumalun. إذا أردتم أعيد شرحه قبل أن أشرح الجمل التي لم تشرح بعد. If you wish, I can repeat the explanation before I explain the sentences which were not explained formally. Ibrahim says, لا حاجة إلى إعادة شرحه يا أستاذ. There is no need to repeat the explanation. فقد فهمناه, because we indeed understood it. Ali says, Arju an tu'ida sharhahu ya ustaz. I wish you will repeat the explanation. Falam yafhamhu ahadun illa Ibrahim. Because no one understood the explanation except for Ibrahim. So, this is an exception also. Al-Mudarris says, Idhan, then, hence, nu'idu qira'at al-amthilati al-waridati fil darsi. We should repeat the reading of the examples found in the lesson. اقرأ الآيات يا زهير. Oh Zuhair, read the verses. Zuhair says بعد الاستعاذة وإذ قلنا للملائكة اسجدوا لآدم فسجدوا إلا إبليس. So if you are wondering in the past that why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says إلا إبليس and not Iblis, when Iblis was actually subject, because he is performing an action, you know now that the reason is because it is al-mustathna, that is the accepted, so it is carrying fatha. وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا. Allah says, and when we said to the angels, remember when we said to the angels, usjudu li Adam, prostrate for Adam, Fasajadu, all of them prostrated, illa Iblis, except for Iblis, the devil. Abba, he acts arrogantly, he refused, was takbar, and he acted arrogantly, wa kana minal kafirin, and he was among the disbelievers. Fasharibu minhu illa qalilan min. Allah also says, Fasharibu minhu. They all drank from it. Illa qalilan minhum, except for a few of them. So after learning this, even when you want to recite the Quran, you could recite the Quran even without the harakat, because you already know the rule that illa, not illa qalil, rather illa qalilan. Fasharibu minhu. They all drank from the water. Illa qalilan minhu, except for a few of them. Next we have this verse, ma fa'aluhu illa qalilun minhum. They did not do it except for a few of them. Look at these two verses, illa qalilan, illa qalilun. The first one is a positive sentence, an affirmative sentence, therefore it is qalilan. Here we have a negative sentence and it is qalilun. Allah says, fahal yuhlaku illa al-qawmul fasiqun. Will any be destroyed except the people of immorality? Illa al-qawmul fasiqun. This is also an interrogative sentence, therefore it will be illa al-qawmu with dhamma. Now we shall learn. Let's continue. Al-Mudarris says, Iqra al-haditha ya Ali. Oh Ali, read this hadith. Ali says, and Amr ibn al-Harith qal. On the authority of Amr ibn al-Harith says, Ma taraka Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam dinaran wala dirhaman wala abdan wala amatan. That the Prophet sallam did not leave a dinar, a dirham, or a slave boy, or a slave girl, illa baglatahu al-bayda allati kana yarkabuha, except for his bagel, the animal which he used to ride on, was silahahu, and his sword, wa aradun ja'alaha libni sabili sadaqatan, and the land which he has made for the ibn sabil, for the traveler, as a sadaqah. So the Prophet never leave any inheritance before his death. So you can see illa baglatahu, mashallah. Now here we have Al-Mudarris says, Iqra il-bayta ya Ibrahim. O Ibrahim, read this bayt. Ibrahim says, Ala kullu shay'in ma khala Allah batilun. Indeed, behold, everything beside Allah is batil, is in vain, is lost. So you can see, khala, the word ma khala is used. So I told you earlier that ma khala is also among the tools, just like illa, except. So ma khala also means except. So ma khala Allahu batilun. Wa kullu na'imin la mahalata za'ilun. And every enjoyment you are having, la mahala, there's no doubt it will efface, it will go away one day. So can you see? Yadkhulu al-muraqib wa yusallimu. At this point, al-muraqib enters and he says salam. Al-muraqib says, Yansarifu jami'u at-tullab al-ana ma 'ada at-tullab al-urubiyyin. All of the students should disperse right away, except for the European students. So look at the word ma'ada is also used. So ma'ada is also min adawatil istisna. Falahum ijtima'un ma'al mudir. They have a meeting with the principal. Al-Mudarris says, Kayfa kana haflu sha'il amsi. How was the tea celebration yesterday? Ana lam atamakkan min al-hudur. It wasn't possible for me to attend. Al-Muraqib says, Kana mumti'an, it was enjoyable. قد حضر الطلاب كلهم إلا المدرسين. All of the students attended except for the teachers. So we are still seeing, you can see here, حضر الطلاب, الطلاب, students attended, not except for the teachers. Now the teachers, they are not students. There is another specific rule guiding this. Let's move on. Here we have Ajib anil as'ilatil atiya. Answer the following questions. The first one says, Man alladhi rasaba fil ikhtibari shahri walima. Who failed the monthly exam test and why? We say rasaba fil imtihani shahri Ibrahim. Ibrahim was one who failed the monthly test. Walima, why? Li'annahu lam yujib anil su'alil awwal. He did not answer the first question. Number two, we have kam darasan yadrusu at-tullabu lil-imtihan. How many lessons are the students studying for the examination? Is it yadrusu at-tullabu lil-imtihan al-kitaba kullah. Man alladhi ghaba, who was absent? We say Goba. Who was absent? Was absent? Let's check. Goba Hamid. Hamid was absent. Here we have the lesson in full. Najahat tullabu kulluhum illa wahidan. All of the students passed except for one. Huna, here, the word wahidan mustathnan is the accepted. Al-istithna. Now what is al-istithna? Al-istithna simply means ikhraju ma ba'da adat al-istithna. It is the removal of the word which comes after the tool, which is either illa, ma'ada, ma'khala, siwa, goiru. Any word which comes after it, removing such a word, min hukmi ma qabla, from the rule which guides the ones before it. فَإِذَا قُلْنَا. Therefore, when we say najahat tullabu illa hamidan, all the students passed except for Hamid, athbatna najaha litullabi. It means that we have affirmed pass for the whole of the student. We have affirmed success for the students, all of them. وَنَفَيْنَاهُ عَنْ حَامِدٍ. But we took that success from Hamid. He's accepted. وَلَهُ ثَلَاثَةُ أَرْكَانٍ. This al-istisna exception rule, it had three pillars. The first pillar here is al-mustathna, which is the accepted. Here we have najahat tullabu illa hamida. This thing we have is al-mustasna, which is accepted. We have al-mustasna minhu, the general rule from which exception is made. Then we have adatul istithna, the tool used for exception. Now we have najahat tullabu illa hamidan. Najahat tullabu, at-tullabu here is the mustasna minhu, which is the one which exception is made from. Then illa is the adatul istisna, which is called the tool. Then we have hamidan as the al-mustasna, as we have explained before. Adawatul istisna kathiratun. The tools for used in exception in the Arabic grammar, there are many. Ahammuha, the most important of these tools are the word illa, which we have used. Wahiya harfun, and it is a particle. The second is goiru or siwa. The word goiru and siwa, they are also tools, but huma isman. These ones are nouns. Then we have ma'khala and ma'ada wa huma fi'lan. These two, they are verbs. Now we have aqsamul istisna, the categorization, the categories of exception we have in the Arabic. Here we have al-istisna imma muttasilun wa imma munqati'un. Al-istisna could either be connected or separated. It could either be related or not related. Let's move on and know what this means. Fal-muttasil, the one which has a relation or connected, an yakuna al-mustasna ba'da mimma qabla, is for the accepted thing or person to be part of what it has been accepted from. An example, najahat tullabu illa hamidan. The students passed except Hamid. You know that Hamid is part of the students. So this is connected because he's a part of them. He was supposed to follow them in every rule, but he was accepted due to a reason, because he failed. So Hamid, here we have al-istisna, which is muttasil. This one is related. Hamid is related to the students. He is not a different entity, rather a person among them. For Hamid, the word Hamid, ahadu tullab huwa min jinsihi, is one of the students and is from that category. Wal munqati, as for the one which is not related, an la yakuna al-mustasna ba'da mimma qabla, is for the mustasna, the word which is being accepted, for it not to be part of the general rule. An example we have likulli da'in dawa'un. The Prophet says, for every disease, for every ailment, every sickness, there is a cure or a medicine, illa al-mauta, except for death. Now, the death, is it part of disease? Is it a sickness? No, it is not. So you will now see that this exception made is not connected. It is not related. This is an exception which is munqati. It is cut on the way. It is not part of the general rule. However, this exception is still accepted in the grammar and the way the Arabs speak. Fal mautu laysa min jinsi da, because death is not among the categories of diseases that we have. But likulli da'in dawa illa al-mauta, for every disease there is medicine or cure except for death. So death has no cure. When it comes, it takes the soul. May Allah take us on our best of days. وَكَذَلِكَ الْإِسْتِثْنَاء. The same way, this exception rule that we are talking about here today, إِمَّا تَامٌ. It could be a complete istisna, which is tamun, or mufarragun, and it could be an incomplete one. The one that we consider to be complete, is the one that the general rule from which exception is going to be made is mentioned. Example, we have Hafidhul Qur'ana illa Surat al-Baqarah. I memorized the Quran except for Surat al-Baqarah. Here, the Quran is being mentioned before we made the exception. Wal mufarragu, the one which is not complete, ma lam yuzkaru fihi al-mustasna minhu, is the one where the general rule is not mentioned. An example, I say, ma ja'a illa Hamidun. No one came except Hamid. None came except Hamid. I did not mention whether the student not say ma ja'a tullabu. No, the general rule is not mentioned. I only mention what is accepted and the tool. Can you see here? Yes. وَكَذَلِكَ الْإِسْتِثْنَاء. The same way, al-istisna could be mujabun, which is affirmative. It could also be a negative one, the one that is not affirmative. An example of mujab, if I say مَا خَلَى مِنَ النَّفْيِ, it is the one which is free from any negativity, any negative particle. It is not a negative statement. وَالنَّهْيُ, and the same way, it is not also a prohibitive statement. وَالْإِسْتِفْهَامِ, it is not also an interrogative sentence. وَغَيْرُ الْمُوجَبِ, as for the one that is not mujab, مَا تَضَمَّنَ النَّفْيَ أَوِ النَّهْيَ أَوِ الْإِسْتِفْهَامِ, is the one that has these three things. It either has a negative particle or an interrogative particle or a prohibitive particle. Let's look at examples as we move further. Now we have Ahkamul Mustasna Bi'illah, the rules with guiding exception when it is made with the word illa. We are going to begin with illa. Afterwards, we move on to siwa, goir, ma khala, and ma'ada, inshallah. So, hukmul istisna fil istisna al-muttasil. Hukmul mustasna, under, if you are going to be using illa, then al-mustasna, the word which is accepted, it should be connected. So the rule guiding it, when the word is connected, when the al-mustasna, when the al-mustasna is connected to the al-mustasna minhu, meaning when the accepted word is among the general words. Wujubun nasb, the first rule is that it must be in the accusative case carrying fatha. Yajibu nasbuhu idha kana al-istisna tamman mujaban. As long as the exception you're going to be making, it is a complete exception and an affirmative one, then it is compulsory for it to be in the accusative case carrying fatha. An example, we have hadarat tullabu illa hamidan. The students came, or the students attended except for Hamid. So Hamidan, he is carrying fatha. We also have ra'aytu tullaba illa hamidan. I saw the students except Hamidan. You can see this in a positive sentence, and also it is connected. Hamid is connected to them. We also have ittasaltu bitullabi illa hamidan. I call the students except for Hamid. All of this hamidan, hamidan, hamidan. This is because we have a complete sentence here, and also the sentence, a complete sentence, which means that the sentence has al-mustasna minhu, the word with the general rule is. And it is also an affirmative sentence, not an interrogative, a negative, or a prohibitive sentence. Number two, we have jawazun nasbi wal itba'. This second rule is that it is allowed for it to either be in the accusative case carrying fatha, or it can follow the grammatical function of the words which come before it. يجوز نصبه وإتباعه لما قبله في الإعراب إذا كان الاستثناء تاما غير موجب. It is allowed for you to either choose to put fatha to make it in the nasbu case, or let it just follow the normal grammatical rule if the following happens. The first is that if the sentence is a complete sentence, but the sentence is not an affirmative sentence, meaning the sentence is either an interrogative one, it is either a negative one, or a prohibitive one. An example, we have ma hadarat tullabu illa hamidan aw hamidun. The student did not attend except Hamid. Here this is a negative sentence, so you can choose to say illa hamidan or illa hamidun, because Hamid here is coming as subject of the sentence. Number 2, we have Ma sa'altu tullaba illa hamidan aw hamidan. I did not ask the students except for hamidan. It could either be hamidan as the normal case of istisna, or it will be hamidan because it is maf'ulun bih. Number 2, we have Mattasaltu bitullabi illa hamidan. I did not connect with any student, I did not reach out to any student except hamid. So it could either be hamidan or hamidin. Here we have La yakhruj ahadun illa hamidan. This is a prohibitive statement. No one should go out except hamidan or hamidun. MashaAllah. Here we have La tas'al ahadan illa hamidan or hamidan. Do not ask anybody except for hamid or hamidan. Anyone you choose. Now we have La tattasil bi hamidin bi ahadin illa hamidan or hamidin. Do not connect with anybody. Don't reach out to anyone except for hamid or hamidin. So here we have been able to see how ma is being used a negative and la, which is what a prohibitive sentence. Let's move on to an interrogative one. Hal ghaba ahadun illa hamidan aw hamidun. Was anyone absent except hamid? So here it could be either be hamidan or hamidun. We also have hal ra'ayta ahadan illa hamidan. It could be hamidan or hamidan. Here we have hal ittasalta bi ahadin illa hamidan or hamidin. So here you have the choice to make it hamidan all through, or to watch the grammatical function of such a word. Now let's have i'rabuhu bihasabi ma yaqtadihu al-amil. So here the i'rab, the grammatical analysis of this type, which is termed a complete sentence, but it is not an affirmative one, is that you could do the i'rab based on the grammatical function of the word. يُعْرَبُ بِحَسَبِ مَا يَقْتَضِيهُ الْعَامِلُ كَمَا لَوْ كَانَتْ إِلَّا غَيْرُ مَوْجُودًا. You are going to be doing this as if illa is not even present, because the sentence where we have Ma hadarat tullabu illa hamidan. If you choose to say Ma hadarat tullabu, if you choose to say Ma hadara hamidun, if illa was not there, it would have been hamidun. So your choice is there. إذا كان الاستثناء كما لو كانت إذا كان الاستثناء مفرغا نحو. If the istisna, the exception we want to make, is a mufarrag one. A mufarrag is the one that al-mustathna minhu is not mentioned. General rule is not mentioned. One, we have ma jaa illa hamidun. No one came except hamid. Here it will be ma jaa hamidun. So hamidun is correct. We have ma sa'altu illa hamidan. I did not ask except hamid. So it could be ma sa'altu hamidan. Ma tasaltu illa bihamidin could be ma sa'altu bihamidin. La yakhruj illa hamidun. It could be la yakhruj hamidun. Or you say La tas'al illa hamidan, La tas'al hamidan. Hal ja'a illa hamidun, Hal ja'a hamidun. Hal ra'ayta illa hamidan, Hal ra'ayta hamidun. MashaAllah, hamidan. Hukmul mustasna fil istisna al-munqati. So what is going to be the rule of the mustasna, the accepted word now, if the sentence is a mufarrag, is a sentence which has no mustasna, no general rule. يجب نصبه في جميع الأحوال. In this type of sentence, it is compulsory that you also make it nasb. It must be in the activity carrying fatha. An example we have حضر الطلاب إلا المدرسة. The students attended except for the teacher. So here we have the students attended except for the teacher. Since this particular sentence here, it is mufarrag. Mufarrag means a sentence whereby the accepted word is not related to the general rule. Because here we are saying the students attended except for the teacher. So teacher is not a student. So the rule here is that such must be in the nasbu case carrying fatha, and that's why we see illa al-mudarrisa. Second, we have ma hadarat tullabu illa al-mudarrisa. The student did not attend except for the teacher. So whether it's a negative sentence, whether it's it is a negative sentence or not, it must be carrying fatha. So when next we meet, we shall be discussing siwa and goiru, and also see the rule guiding these two. Until then, jazakumullahu khairan. Make sure you revise illa and the istisna generally, so that when next we meet, it will be an advancement and an addition to what we already know. Until then, jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum.